You're listening to What's Hot on NCCU AudioNet.
It is What's Hot with Shamai Cook. I am Shamai Cook. I'm my guest co-host Rory Boone in the building. How you doing, Rory?
I'm doing fine. What about you?
I'm blessed, black, and highly favored. We got a special guest in the building. She is a professor. She's a doctor. Okay, she's a doctor. It's Miss Ariel Ellis. Let's clap it up for her, everybody. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Dr. Ellis. How are you today?
Oh, how are you? Where's my camera? Am I looking at you?
Well, the camera's just there, but
Okay.
you're just you're just talking.
Like
We're just talking.
Okay.
First of all, I know you are a professor. You went to Tennessee State University. And where did you get your master? I mean, your doctorate and your master's and your doctorate.
My master's is from Middle Tennessee State University, which is in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, about 45 minutes outside of Nashville.
Okay.
And my doctorate is from the University of Southern California in Los Angeles.
Gotcha. What made you want to, first of all, get into PR? Because I knew.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, let's start there.
What made me want to get into PR? Well, I was a student at Tennessee State.
Okay.
And I was majoring in mass communication and taking a public relations course and as an elective.
Okay.
And there was not a PR major at the time.
Wow.
So
really?
I'm taking the class, and the professor after class pulled me to the side and said, "Hey, I'm looking at your assignments, and you did a really great job on this one assignment, and I think you do really good in PR. You know how to speak well, you know how to present, you know how to solve problems, you know how to write, you know how to strategize. Like, you need to think about PR."
Gotcha.
And so I always knew that what PR was the thing that I wanted to do, but I didn't know what PR was, if that makes
Okay.
like,
So you knew what it was, but you didn't know the consist of it.
Yeah,
Okay,
what it
I see.
consisted of. So, like, for instance, I can go all the way back to high school and thinking, like, whoever like gets the music played on the radio is the person I want to be.
So,
or whoever is the person who like contacts the TV station to get the news and to like tell the producer or calls the newspaper to like tell them something is happening. Who's that person?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And all I knew was like marketing and like all the things that we see, journalism and TV and radio and music industry. I didn't know like the inner workings of the industry and who was the person, like who is that person. And then I realized, I get to college and I realized, that person is the PR person that bridges the gap between, the media and the public. And so once I got into that class, the professor said, "You'd be great at this." And I've been in it ever since.
Rory, go ahead.
How is PR different from advertising, marketing? How's it different?
That's a great question for the people who take my class. I teach a course called Integrated Marketing Communication, where we look at the differences between PR, advertising, marketing, and branding, and the four components: PR, marketing, advertising, and branding, and those differences. So you should take my class, Integrated Marketing Communication. For anyone who's watching, you will learn a whole lot more.
Marketing, you said a brand. I remember you said, put this on Instagram, and I love what you said. A brand is, you were saying it's not just, I'm paraphrasing here. You were saying a brand is something that is very, because people can rely on, right? Can you elaborate on that?
Okay.
So when people want to start a brand, let's say people want to start a podcast or a business, but they need to be consistent on what their brand is. How can people do that?
Yeah. So here's what a brand is. A brand is essentially the sum or the collection of interactions, experiences, and expectations that determine the value of a relationship.
Okay.
You cannot have a brand unless you've established relationship with your
peers,
consumers.
Okay, my audience.
Your audience.
Okay.
Right. And so whatever you're developing, if it's a t-shirt line, if it's a nonprofit, whatever it is that you're creating, whoever you're creating it for, they get to establish the value of what you've created. You don't establish that value.
So the audience chooses and you follow what they say, basically.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Let me finish my definition here. They get to establish the value of the relationship that they have with what you've created.
Okay.
Right? So say, for instance, NCCU is an organization and has a brand, right? So it is a brand.
Yeah.
Based on me as a faculty member and you as students, you have interactions.
Yeah.
All the interactions you have with the people. all the experiences you have inside and outside of the classroom, and the expectations that you have overall of the organization determine how much value you put into that relationship. Meaning, do I hold this relationship between me and the university in high regard? Is it just kind of mediocre for me? Am I neutral? I like it. Sometimes I don't like it. Or do I not like it at all and I really don't care? I don't have an affinity for that. So how much value do I have for the relationship that I have with this organization or with this brand or with this, institution or whatever it is? That is a brand. It is the value that I place in the relationship, right? So how much I value that relationship is determined on how often and the quality and the quantity of the interactions that I have with it, right? Yeah. So for instance, if you, what's a brand that you appreciate?
The Shade Room.
Okay, why?
Yeah, because they're very consistent on Black culture.
Okay, what else?
Pop culture, entertainment. What else? They're a news brand.
And if they stop doing what you liked, how much more would you value them or less would you value them?
I wouldn't go to that publication again.
Exactly.
I see.
Exactly. They have something that you have a high value in, and what I said in the reel was that what they deliver, they're consistent in that, and they promise to give you that over and over and over again. And if the promise ever switched up, the value that you have with them or for them, it would shift your relationship with them.
Now, how do you, because not everything can work at all at one time. You understand? So sometimes, even in this show, I see that when I talk about something, the ratings go up. When I don't talk about something, ratings go down. How do you monetize that? Make sure you stay to your brand, but make sure you comfort your audience and make sure you get what they want. How do people do that?
Yeah, sometimes your audience doesn't know what they want until you show them.
Okay.
Right? So I think the key aspect of that in building the brand and maintaining it is consistency.
Okay.
So whether you're giving them something that is, like highly clickable and things of that nature, or you're just giving them this, it's still quality content. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm picking up what you're putting down.
It's still quality content. So you don't have to give gossip every day.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You can give enriching and informational type content on some days. And then the other days you give gossip, or the other days you give, right?
Yeah.
You give interesting tidbits or whatever. You give them a variety. Now, if you wanted to exclusively do like gossip and things of that nature, then that's what you will be known for, and people wouldn't expect anything else from you. Whatever you promise to deliver that.
Okay, I'm seeing that.
Yeah, whatever you promise to deliver, if it's a mix of content or if it's just one, specific, if it's just sports, get that. People know
what if
they
you
want to
do both though?
You can.
I love
just consistently
do
it.
Consistently. Okay, so
give them a mix. If it's a mix, give them a mix.
Okay.
That way they know that I may get a little bit of this and get a little bit of that. And if they only want one thing, they can go to someone else for that.
Okay, Rory, go ahead.
Okay, so here he asked for me. Okay. What careers can somebody get with a PR degree?
A little bit of everything. The idea or the focus, I guess you can say, of a PR practitioner is to specifically use strategic communication or use communication strategically to build relationships between an organization and its public. So with any degree in communication, you're always relating to people, whether it's journalism or PR or whatever. There's always a component of storytelling, and there's always a component of strategy. So there are a variety of different things that you can do with PR, and essentially, whether it's like being a publicist in sports and entertainment, which is how I started my career, or whether it's being a professor, the lanes are wide open for anyone that is specifically focused on mass comm and intentionally concentrating in PR, with a little bit of, I think, a less distinction between, say, journalism, because journalism is really straightforward. But I think even with what you all are doing in the world of content creation, if you are a trained communicator, you know how to tell stories, you know how to strategize around how to get those stories out to the people, it doesn't matter what your concentration is at this stage of the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What made you want to get into, you have ran multiple campaigns and all that stuff when it comes to being a NPR. What made you want to go and teach? Because not everybody is is fit to be an instructor.
Absolutely.
And go give back their knowledge to the community. So what made you say, I need to go teach to my community?
Yeah. So I was again my HBCU, my beloved HBCU, Tennessee State. I had studied there and had several internships while I was in school.
Okay.
And I graduated in May, and I launched my first PR company in June, literally 30 days later.
Wow. Good for
And
you.
I had these several internships, and I wasn't getting the job offers quick enough. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to create my own job. So I opened up my first PR company a month after graduation. All the relationships that I built with my internships, a lot of them turned into clients for me. And just building up a good reputation, doing good work and things of that nature. Folks just trusted me, right? They saw me doing the work consistently in one space and realized I could be trusted to do the work independently outside of a company, right?
Okay.
So I started that work as I was building my company. Tennessee State called me back, full circle moment here. Tennessee State called me back and said that one of the professors there who ran the school's radio station was leaving to go to another school. And they wanted a recent grad who had worked in radio to come run the station in an interim capacity. So Tennessee State has very much of a framework like what we have here: labs, radio station, TV station, and things of that nature. Well, their station at the time was an AM station. It wasn't an FM station. It had been a very popular AM station in like the 50s, 60s, and 70s, so the legacy was there. But they needed a recent grad who knew radio, who had been in radio, to come, revitalize some of the work, convert the station to an online station, and just keep the continuity there until they could hire somebody full time. And so they asked me to come do that.
Wow.
And while I was there, I was doing some of the work very similar to like a Miss DL or Miss Lakeisha, right?
Okay.
And I would get a chance to go behind the scenes with the folks who were my professors just a year prior.
Wow.
And I got a chance to sit with some of my professors and see like, okay, how do they do this? I got a chance to see what they do versus being the student in the classroom.
It's always there's three sides to every story.
Yeah.
Side one, side A, the truth.
And I thought, as I'm launching this business and getting this business off the ground, and I've always been very entrepreneurial and thinking I would love to have multiple streams of income. I thought I should probably do, as a publicist, what I want to teach and teach what I want to do. And I knew I wanted to get a master's degree. And so it was really the experience that I had at Tennessee State that made me want to teach and also made me ultimately want to teach at a HBCU, which brought me here. So it was a full circle moment, being able to do both. And eventually I didn't go right into the classroom. It took about maybe 7 or so years after I made that, kind of had that epiphany that I wanted to be a professor. After I got the master's degree and ran my business and things of that nature, I realized, okay, it's time for me to teach what I do.
Got you.
Yeah.
Got you. When it comes to, go and get your master's and go and get your doctorate, what was your drive behind that? Because that's a lot. First of all, that's a lot of money. And that's a lot of dedication. What made you say, "Oh, I gotta go get these degrees"?
So the master's degree was easy for me because it wasn't as expensive as folks think. Master's degree isn't super expensive. Sometimes your undergraduate degree is more expensive than a master's degree.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know. Okay.
Wow, I thought
it was okay.
I thought it was the opposite.
No. Your master's degree is usually because you're only there for maybe a year or two.
Okay.
In a master's program, so if you're getting a master's degree that's more expensive than an undergraduate, you in medical school or something like that.
Okay.
Like you're in law school or something, or getting an MBA maybe. And some MBA programs aren't that expensive, but I knew that I wanted to get the master's while I was an undergrad. So I was thinking, I think I'll go back and get a master's. I think I kind of want to put a seal on my experience in communication. And that was a natural thing at the stage where I was in my time as a student. A lot of us went and got a master's,
Okay.
right? So the master's wasn't a lot of money, but it was a 2-year program. So I thought, and I also realized that if I wanted to work in corporate, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do if I wanted to work in corporate, but I knew this. As I was a student at Tennessee State, I was interning at the local radio station, and I got exposed to everything. I got a chance to see everybody, meet everybody, talk to everybody, hear conversations I probably shouldn't have heard, all kind of stuff. And there was an executive from one of from the record labels, and we used to get visited by everybody from Kanye West to like all the executives. Those are the early 2000s. So,
like Diddy and all that.
Yeah, we used to get everybody coming to that station. And so one of the executives was there. I think she was there with like promoting a T.I. record or something like when T.I. first came out. And or Trick Daddy or somebody like that. This was the early 2000s.
Okay,
now.
yeah.
So she said she's like early 40s, mid 40s, and she's talking about how she's going to retire soon, early retire. And everybody's like, no, you're still young and don't retire. And she was like, they said, well, what are you going to do? And she said, she's from New York or lives in New York. And she said, one of the schools in New York, Columbia, NYU, whatever it was, has asked me to come teach in like entertainment marketing, entertainment business. And they were like, oh, don't you need a doctorate for that? And then she said, no. I have my MBA. All you need is a master's to teach.
Wow.
And I thought, oh, okay. That's another reason to go get the master's degree. Because if I ever want to teach, I get a chance to. I got the credentials. I'll have the work experience, and I'll have the master's degree. So that's what motivated me to get the master's. I did not want to get the doctorate because, again, if you're already teaching as a professor and you got a master's and you're an entrepreneur and you're running a business, why would you go get another degree? Why would you spend all that money? Now that's all the money. Child, that doctorate is all the money.
That's a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Now.
But it's worth it.
But it is worth it because it pays off quickly.
Okay.
It pays off quickly. And at that point, you're terminal, essentially, when it comes to the knowledge that you're going to gain. There's not another level that you can go to. That's the highest level of education. And so you can kind of command salaries, and you can kind of
so you can negotiate.
You can consult,
okay.
And you can go into companies and consult and charge top dollar. So as I was teaching at my previous institution, I was there for 10 years at Lipscomb University in Nashville. And there were just, there were resources. They were like, many times if you are a professor or you're working in an organization that will give you like a tuition reimbursement, or they cover a certain percentage of tuition.
Especially if it's a state school too.
Or, well, this was a private school.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So private schools they have a little bit more wiggle room in the decisions that they make. They don't have to hold to a lot of standards.
Yeah, because we were just talking about how Duke just got rid of that black.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's how we were just talking about it in the first hour. Yeah.
Private schools can kind of move some things around. But state schools, like for instance, if you're a professor or an employee at a state school, they may give you like a deep discount, or even like almost a complimentary tuition. Some state programs do complimentary tuition on getting your doctorate in the state system.
And while you're working at that school.
While you're working there. And then there may be like an arrangement where you stay for a couple more years to make good on the investment.
Okay.
But the doctorate was, for me, I didn't want to repeat what I experienced in the master's experience. So I wanted to travel. I wanted a doctoral program that allowed me to travel. I wanted one that gave me a cohort so that I wouldn't just be in the program by myself. I'd have a group of people to go through the process with me. I wanted one that was outside of the state of Tennessee because I got the 2 previous degrees from Tennessee schools. And I also wanted something that was get me done in 2 years. And that's why I chose USC.
Okay.
Oh, good for you. Good for you. Dr. Ellis, one more question.
Sure.
I know we're here over time. I told you 10 to 15
It's all
minutes.
good.
I'm sorry.
My office is just across the hall.
When it comes to making sure that you are marketable, how can people go about being an entrepreneur, because you're a successful entrepreneur, being an entrepreneur, making sure your brand is your brand, and making sure that people can consume it in a proper way. And what's your advice on starting an entrepreneur and making sure your brand is really authentic?
So are you asking about marketability just as like a young student or as an entrepreneur?
Both.
Okay. So I encourage you all students, and really anyone who's listening, to think about how entrepreneurship enhances generational wealth. I encourage you to have multiple streams of income, a job and a business, or a business or two. You don't have to have the job, right? I believe that specifically for our community, Black community, in order for us to reach generational wealth and narrow the wealth gap in our community, we're going to have to work more than a job, because you can't pass a job down to your children, right?
True. Okay.
But many times with making the right decisions on how you market yourself, right, you are able to max out and maximize opportunities with a job, right? Otherwise, I wouldn't be here.
Okay.
Right? I'm maximizing my opportunities. Okay. I'm pouring into you all. I am, serving in my greatest capacity, right? So that's very important. And so I think what needs to be considered in order to make yourself marketable, specifically in entrepreneurship, is consistency. Is being exactly who you are at the same time, all the time, showing up, leveling up as much as you can, growing as much as you can, being a person of your word. If you say you're going to do it, do it. If you can't do it, let the person know you can't do it, so their expectations can be, managed well. I think also it is very important to be authentic to who you really are. There's a lot of noise on social media. There's a lot of noise just in the world in general. And so if you really understand who you are, you're not doing it just for the likes and the clicks, right? You get really good at that thing and you operate in authenticity, you can be marketable and someone will see you. Just like someone saw me, doing that internship when I was in college, and being consistent and showing up and doing a great job and providing value. And eventually when I got ready to launch my business, there wasn't anybody really that would tell me no. And if they told me no, it's because they didn't have the money to pay me. You know what I mean? And
that was a good no.
And so, yeah, it was a great no. So I think that's very important. Being very true to who you are, being authentic at all times, regardless of what social media says and if you didn't get the likes, and then just being very consistent. People appreciate consistency and they appreciate authenticity as well.
Thank you. You got any more questions, Ro?
No.
Thank you, Dr. Ellis. Let's clap it up for Dr. Ellis. Thank you so much for coming up. Where can people get your information and all that stuff? Make sure if they have any other questions about, starting the brand and stuff.
Well, you can go to arielellis.com, AERIELLIS.com. And of course, if you want to know more about NCCU, Mass Communication Department, you can reach out to us on the website. And things of that nature. So thank you so much for having me. And you all are doing a great job.
Thank you for so much for coming on the show. I greatly appreciate it. Yeah. You are more than welcome. Well, this is my second to last show, so
it's all good. This just really takes me back to my college days. So.
Really? Okay. Yeah, thank you so much. It's Dr. Ariel Ellis. Up next is the hot question of the day.
You're listening to What's Hot on NCCU Audionet.